So I've been playing some Monster Hunter World lately, a lot of Monster Hunter World in fact, on both the Xbox One and PS4. I already did a video on it where I mentioned how much I love the game, so you guys probably don't want to hear me fangirl over it again, but too bad. I specifically wanted to talk about it again because I also did this video recently about how all multiplayer games these days are complete failures. Well, not all multiplayer games, only like 99% of them, so I guess not so bad. And it's like, dude, some of these games need to take some pointers from Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter in general, really, but, you know, I know many people are kind of new to the franchise with this entry, so we'll focus on Monster Hunter World. For one, Monster Hunter is all about smashing things, which I love, just, you know, bludgeoning creatures into dust. Already just thinking about it, I want to be hammer crushing some skulls. I mentioned in that initial video, with this game, like most Monster Hunter games, actually getting the group together can be a pain at times, but once you get going, it's phenomenal. You and your teammates just going around conquering these big bad behemoths just to move on to bigger and badder ones. This is a problem I have with stuff that goes the more MMO approach these days. Like, every game wants to be an MMO for some reason. Personally, I don't get it. You know, the big open world where you can explore or whatever. Who cares when 70% of it is barren? Yeah, in Monster Hunter, you're on these smaller maps. There's only a few different ones there, very different from each other, but yes, there isn't many of them. But it's about just getting you into the action. You know, it's not about screwing around. And I know some people find it repetitive. I've seen some people now getting into the endgame, newcomers to the series, and feeling like they're just doing the same stuff over and over again, and that sort of is true. But really, that's like any big multiplayer RPG when you get into that, you know, quote, endgame. Name again any MMO, and the big complaint among the player base will surely be, at least one of them, will surely be the endgame. That's just how it is. But what's so nice about Monster Hunter, in my opinion, is how all the monsters interact with each other, which makes every hunt, especially as you get further into the game, consistently nerve-wracking. Like, you'll wind up with multiple super strong monsters on a map. You know, you're there just trying to hunt one of them, and the other ones come wandering in, and before you know it, you've got this madhouse, free-for-all situation going on. You know, you and your group, you're trying to stay focused on the one, but you keep getting cheaped out by the other one, so it's like you might be trying to like pull aggro from some of them away. You're trying to coordinate with your team all the while to do stuff like healing. Yeah, you know, healing, if you've played the game, can be a pain in the ass, especially in one of these big melees. So you'll be like, dude, try to distract them while I heal or sharpen or whatever. And, you know, your friends are trying to like pull them away from you so you don't get, you know, smacked around while you're trying to heal yourself. Because of stuff like that, that chaotic factor in these hunts, I rarely actually find myself feeling bored. You know, even if I am sort of repeating things, you're constantly fighting, you know, stronger and stronger monsters, so you always kind of feel like you have to be on your toes. But even more so beyond the gameplay, because I talked about that a lot in my last video, and this is where I think many similar multiplayer RPG type games really drop the ball these days, that feeling of progression. And this is a big reason why I don't like the common argument in favor of loot boxes and microtransactions in these types of games. You know, people will say, oh, as long as they're, quote, cosmetic, they're fine, right? I'm sure you've all heard that before. Oh, if they sell the cosmetic changes, who cares? Which I get to an extent, because the big part of progression is obviously stat-based, right? You want to have something kick your ass, but then you go, you power up, and then you can kick its ass. That feels good. But anyone who plays a lot of these types of games will tell you the dress up. Okay, we might not want to admit it, especially a lot of us being guys, but playing dress up with our characters becomes a big part of that end game as well. You know, you start with your character looking like some lame pleb, and as you progress, you want that to reflect in the look of your character. You know, turning into something that looks like he could actually, you know, go out there and mess up some dragons. You know, you start with some lame iron sword, but then you know, get to the point where you have like an ice-imbued axe, just makes you feel so powerful. And that sort of stuff is really key to keep, personally, me playing. It's like I'll grind and, you know, finish one armor set and be like, yeah, this is it, like, look how tough I look. And then right away, you know, I'll go and discover a new one, and I'm like, oh, damn, you know, that's sick, I gotta get that one. You know, and in so many of these other games, like 75% of this stuff would be locked behind some dumb paywall, and that's the thing. Even if I can just get it by paying, it doesn't necessarily make me want to actually keep playing the game. You know, even if there is some dumb currency I can grind to buy those loot boxes or whatever, here you have to earn it. When you party up with someone, maybe they're a higher hunter rank than you, and they're running around with some really sick, like maybe glowing armor, you're like, damn, they must have done some serious crushing on some really high-level beasts to get that stuff, which again makes you want to get that stuff. It makes the armor, the weapons, all these things seem more impressive, as opposed to if we all just paid like $5 for the sets we want. Like, yes, it would still look the same, but it doesn't mean anything when you just buy it. And that's what turns me off about the loot box cosmetic trend that so many others are so willing to just give a pass to. You know, if that's how they did it in Monster Hunter World, you'd be like, oh, wow, you spent a lot of money or got really lucky to get that armor set. Congrats, I guess? And Capcom, thankfully, is getting rewarded in the sales for this game. I know they've shipped like several million copies already. It's a massive success for sure. And that shows gamers are hungry for this sort of experience. You know, without all that loot box and microtransaction nonsense. And you know what? With how much I'm loving this game, I'd be down for some DLC at some point. You know, I'm not against this stuff. I want it to be done right. Like, if they wanted to add some more monsters, weapons, armor sets, of course, maybe even a map or two, I would totally pay a premium for that, for more content, more stuff to do in this game. And that's the route I'd like to see games go. Like, why is it outlandish to just want to be able to buy a game and have everything included and actually earn things through gameplay? And it's not like I'm not playing stupid. I know the argument, right? You make more money with microtransactions and loot boxes and that, but you only do that if people pay for it. And we're seeing with games like Battlefront 2, when gamers give the pushback, you can make changes. Like, if you just look at multiplayer games over the last couple months and you look at a game like Battlefront 2 and a game like Monster Hunter World, look at the difference in reception. You know, it was also a much more expensive game, not to mention it had the Star Wars IP behind it. And like I said, as long as the gaming masses, you know, support these types of games, you're going to continue to see these types of games get made. I guarantee you, yes, Capcom obviously is watching these sales in terms of what they do next, but all developers, all the publishers are watching this stuff. They're watching the reception of games like Battlefront 2, and they're watching the reception of games like Monster Hunter World. And we just need to continue to push them to make these sorts of decisions. Anyway, I'll cut myself off there. I wanted an excuse really to talk more about how much I love this game, so sue me, but I also think it's, you know, it's important to keep bringing up this multiplayer discussion, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who, you know, feel like the multiplayer genre is like it's a lost cause. We've lost it to loot boxes and microtransactions. But then you have a game like this that comes along, doesn't do that crap, and performs amazingly. We just have to keep sending that message to the publishers and the developers that this is the type of stuff we want. We want complete games. I know, how crazy. But yeah, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know if you agree with my stance here. Do you like it when the thrill is in the hunt, literally in this case, with things to like power up and make your characters in these games look cool? Or would you rather just drop $100 on loot boxes or something? As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.